This week in our collective heads, wanna put an old rumor to bed. Stereotype that you've all heard, how we're all just angry video game nerds. Most of us have actual jobs, kids and families and cats and dogs, yeah. This week in our collective heads, this week in our collective heads.
Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick. I'm joined by Kevin, who has an alter ego, and you can see our alter egos are on our shirts. And if you watch the Infinity War trailer, then there's a funny banter we could do here, but Kevin's not watched it, so he's not going to be able to participate. But welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. We're talking video game news like we do every single week, and some other ramblings and stuff, because if you're a nerd and you like video games, or if you're one of those two pieces of the puzzle, then the Venn diagram may fit you, and you may enjoy our show if you've never listened or watched before. We're live on Facebook every single week, like we are right now, broadcasting on Facebook and Twitch. You can find us at TWIOCH everywhere except for Twitch, which we're TWIOCH Gaming, because some person got TWIOCH and never did anything with it. Anyways, We're talking about video game news, and we got backwards compatible games that are also games with gold stuff, and that's always fun. Starting out with The Witness, which Christian and I have been trying to get Kevin to play for I think the past 17 years. So The Witness is very much a throwback to those wonderful games of Myst and Riven, except it's done better. The conveyance is better. There's not as much stupid backtracking. It is a lot of principles that build upon each other, but in very interesting ways, very good ways. This is going to be backwards compatible on Xbox, so Kevin won't be playing it now, but in the future, hopefully.
That's old enough that it came out on 360?
No, this is Xbox One.
Oh, well, you said backwards compatible.
Oh, well, backwards compatible stuff's in here too. But first, Xbox One, more stuff. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which was the okay one that didn't have funky facial animation. If you remember
But it had twins.
It did have twins. Twins Basil, twins, one of each. So I liked this game. I only played a little bit of it. This is when I started falling off Unity is when I fell off the Assassin's Creed bandwagon and didn't, because I played every Assassin's Creed game to completion, except for I fell off the bandwagon during Unity because it was just so buggy. And Syndicate, I played a little bit of and was like, yeah, I like it, but I'm busy. We got some backwards compatible games. For Xbox 360, we got Cars 2, continuing at Xbox's Disney tie-in bit, which I don't think was on purpose. But I'm hoping for a not mediocre racing game, and I'm guessing that I'm going to get exactly that, a mediocre racing game. I don't care if it's Lightning McQueen, and if you guys watched Cars 2, you know this is the one with the spies and stuff, and blah, blah, blah.
It's the one with Eddie Izzard.
It is the one with Eddie Izzard, but even he couldn't save it. We're also getting Dead Space 2, backwards compatible Xbox 360 and Xbox One. I really like the Dead Space series, and Dead Space 2 is when it was still good. Dead Space 3 is when it fell off and got all microtransaction-y, which is stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, I found this on the web. For Is This Placed is when it was still good. Dead Space 3 is when I fell off.
Yeah. So I don't know how that happened, but all right, let's keep that in because that's fun.
Thanks, Cortana.
Yeah, that was Siri. I don't know. Usually she doesn't say a word during these broadcasts, but I don't know, man. I don't know. So Microsoft and Apple listens in on us. Xbox doesn't care. Speaking of that, as a side note on here, before we go on to the PlayStation bit of this, Xbox rolled out some because we were talking about Microsoft listening, so I thought I'd segue into this. Xbox had a recent user agreement that rolled out, and it said, yeah, we're going to ban people for Outlook and Microsoft Word and Xbox Live if you're using defamatory language and obscenities, and then people started getting banned from Xbox, and Xbox's response was, we haven't changed any of our policies on Xbox Live. But now we're in this weird weird middle ground of your user agreement says you're listening to us and you're going to police us, like Twitch is doing right now. Twitch is trying to have its users police themselves. Microsoft said we're going to police you and listen to you. Whether or not they're banning, I think is stupid. The fact that they're going to listen and they're going to do anything, I think, is dumb, because it's all about context. And if you're just listening for specific words, you don't know, is someone straight up calling someone a name, or are they having a mature discussion and saying a specific name is horrible?
Or are they writing a paper on racism?
Sure.
I mean, like, that could be a thing.
Sure. Yeah, there are people who have political discussions on Twitch and YouTube and other places, and YouTube's been demonetizing a lot of this stuff because they're like, oh, our advertisers don't want to advertise on this because people use this word and they talk about this. Yeah, but maybe they're talking about, history. Maybe they're talking about injustices. There's so many things that they could be talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, I wanted to talk about that because we're talking about devices listening to you, and sometimes they're listening to you and you don't realize that they are.
It's true.
On to some other post-apocalyptic crazy ideas other than Skynet.
Speaking of the apocalypse,
Let's talk about Mad Max.
Mad Max is one that, and this was a game that came out the same day that Phantom Pain did, right?
Yes.
And suffered for it, and so it's really fun. This is one that I passed on because I didn't feel like I had time to do the whole open world thing, but I've managed to pull a lot more into being able to give myself time, and so I'm really looking forward to this because you and Colin Moriarty both said that it was better than the hype it received, and so I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I only got to play a little bit of it, but I really enjoyed what I got to play. I also watched some people's playthroughs of it, and it was and from what I played and what I saw, it was exactly what I wanted out of a Mad Max game. This is also unfortunate because it was supposed to launch around the same time as the Mad Max movie. It was delayed. However, it's not really a full movie tie-in because it doesn't have like Tom Hardy's Mad Max character, and so it's timed to be around when people were thinking about Mad Max, but at the same time, it's not that Mad Max that you're playing. So it's kind of this weird kind of in between. But speaking of racing cars, we're also getting Trackmania. Trackmania Turbo,
in which there is, like, I would be willing to bet at least 90% less murder than in Mad Max.
At least. I don't think there's any blood bags in this or anything. You know what? I played Track. I don't even remember if it was the same Trackmania. This is how much how little I care about this. I don't even remember if it's the same Trackmania, and I didn't even look it up.
But I'll be taking this one, and so.
Yeah.
We'll see. It looks kind of like a Micro Machines type thing, and so
that's how it was for me. And it was just the controls were mediocre in my opinion. On to a game that we don't know anything about. We're getting In Space We Brawl.
Yeah,
which
that's one of the PS3 titles.
Yeah,
that one in Toy Home, which
correct.
I don't know. I mean,
when I saw Toy Home, I thought it was going to be related to Grow Home. But it's not, and I was immediately disappointed, and now I don't want to play this game. So just because it used the word home, even though Grow Home doesn't get to have exclusive rights to using the word home,
right?
It made me sad.
It's no scrolls.
No, it's no scrolls. No, only Bethesda can make games with scrolls on them. We also get 99 Vitas with a D, not Vitas.
Right, 99 Vitas, but a car ain't one. I think is the full title. But yeah, that's some beat 'em up action
on Vita.
Yeah,
on Vita. Yeah. I didn't see that this was cross-platform.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, it says 4-player co-op, so if you got 4 people that have Vitas, 2 more people than I know that play Vita. But it's there, and it looks fun. I mean, I'll be honest, it looks fun. It looks like it could be a contender for I don't know if it could beat Mad Max, but we'll see We'll see how it
No,
goes.
but it does, however, look like it looks a little bit like what was the Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
It looks very similar in style, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where the Vitas are the people that you're playing as, and each one of them has a different special ability, and whenever you die, you take over another random one. I will let you know at the end of this month, but
cool.
I believe that's this one, and if so, cool, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then the last one,
I was gonna say, I know you're looking forward to playing some Qbert.
No, because like the whole angle, it's just weird. But yeah, Qbert jumped into a fully 3D version that looks like a Flash something or other that somebody was trying to make, and I'm gonna turn everything into the color that it's supposed to be, and I get to play as the grandma one, and okay.
Yeah.
But I will let you know if they added anything into it, because I'm familiar with Qbert, and Qbert can stay right back in the 80s where like there are better games from that era, and this is not one of them in my opinion.
I would agree. There are certain games that unless you're packaging it with a bunch of other games, I'm not gonna. I mean, I would not have gone out of my way to buy Qbert. I would not have gone out of my way to get Joust, which I still think is one of the best games for the Atari.
Yeah.
But I'm just not. Adventure. There's another one. Adventure. It's like, are you going to pay $5 for Adventure? I'm not.
See, when it comes
give me in a bundle,
when it comes to arcade games from that era, I'm gonna say Galaga.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Mario Versus. And then I'm gonna say
Space Invaders or Centipede, probably.
Centipede. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Donkey Kong is coming like right after that, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong as well, but this like that earlier generation, then there's only certain ones that live up to the test of time. We'll be talking about that on Totes later on in this episode. If you're watching live, or if you're listening on the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll have to check out the other video for our topic of the episode show, where we talk about video games and what makes a game last. We'll talk about that later, though. On to other news. I think this is something you and I assumed was going to happen, and you texted me saying, did we know this already? Because I thought I did, but apparently it's official news. Clementine's story for The Walking Dead will finish in the final season of Walking Dead, the Telltale's Walking Dead, later this year, which I think is really cool. I know that you have your own feelings on the Telltale games, but I think it's really great seeing this character in her story arc. I mean, we saw her, I don't know, was she 10 when we first meet her, or something something around that.
And for me, one of the biggest pieces of news on this is that they're deciding to finish it. It's not something where they are, just going to keep going until, because like there are some games, movies, book series, Wheel of Time, that just keep going, and it seems like that they don't have an end in sight. And then there's other properties like they offered the people who were working on what's Walter White, Breaking Bad. They offered them like an insane amount of money to stretch it out another season, and they said no. We have our story arc. We know what story we want to tell. This is it. And so for me, the idea that that they're finishing Clementine's story, because yes, there's Telltale fatigue, but there's not Walking Dead Telltale fatigue, in my opinion. And so they're ending it. They're choosing to end it while the story and the series continues to be fairly at the top of their game. And I absolutely applaud them for that.
Sure. They don't want to fall into the realm of Dexter or so many others. True Blood. I think Wheel of Time, from what I've heard from interviews with Robert Jordan and interviews with Brandon Sanderson, who finished the series for him, which, by the way, I'm going to be reading Wheel of Time because I've been putting it off forever.
Okay.
But I was listening to interviews with Sanderson because I knew about Sanderson before any of that, and
Right.
he was talking about like I had all of this stuff planned for the books that Sanderson did. Was all of that was planned, and so it was. While it may have seemed like it just stretched on, like he had it outlined. It's kind of like George R.R. Martin, where he's like, it's going to be 4 books, maybe it'll be 5, 7. I don't. So
the tale grew in the telling.
Yeah, and it's just gonna keep going on, and I really hope that it doesn't happen. I don't know if you know about what happened behind the scenes, but he had some outlines of stuff, but also his widow and some other people talked to him when they knew he was dying, and they asked him, so what happens to this character? And he's like, oh, well, they do this, this, and this, and they wrote it down. And they took that along with his notes, and they put it together, and they gave it to Brandon Sanderson and said, can you do something?
Fill this out.
Fill it out. So, I mean, he knew what was going to happen in the end. Like George R.R. Martin knows to an extent, but he doesn't have anything filled out, and he keeps using freaking WordStar and deleting his. I know you probably heard about this. Like he'll write like 2 or 3 chapters, and he's like, I don't like this, and then he'll delete all of them, and he'll start again.
Yep.
So let's talk about something that makes us happier instead of that.
Backwards compatibility that we actually skipped at the very beginning of the show.
What are you talking about?
Modern Warfare is backwards compatible, and Modern Warfare is a fantastic game, great opening scene.
Sure.
But what we're showing up now is Hellblade, and that's exciting too. Modern Warfare, I don't have any jokes about that one. That's just a quality single player campaign.
It is quality single player, decent multiplayer, but quality single player, and for it to be backwards compatible is cool. Again, about one thing that we enjoy about backwards compatibility is not only the ease of being able to play these games and not have to use multiple consoles, but also just the idea of preservation of these games, which is really amazing in my opinion. But I was talking about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice because
which I'm very excited about, because I didn't think that it was possible for this to go multi-platform, but apparently this is coming to Xbox, and this has won many awards, and absolutely deservedly so, because this game is at times literally insane. Like it deals with psychosis in a way that I have never seen. We've seen, somewhat bipolar characters, or we've seen characters who dealt with various incarnations of literal insanity, but psychosis is a very, very tricky one to do, and the way that they did this is just absolutely masterful. If you do choose to pick this one up, I highly recommend that you play it with headphones. The immersion in this game is just absolutely stunning. I don't know if on some headsets on the PlayStation you can actually get surround sound, and so you can have sounds coming from particular sources. I don't know if you can do that on Xbox, but either surround sound or headphones are highly recommended for playing this game. So and that's coming April 11th, which is really not that far away.
Not far away. I will say it's better on surround sound without headphones, because people who are like, oh, it's better on headphones, like I feel like those and this is maybe just my personal opinion, but like they may not have a surround sound system, or it may not be calibrated properly, because if you're not playing with headphones and you're playing Senua's Sacrifice or some other games like that, when you hear those sounds, it's not like, oh, I've got headphones on. You're like, shit, is that in my bedroom? Like, like that's how it feels. Like you're like, did someone just walk in my door? Because the headphones isolate you more, and I feel like when you're not using headphones and you're just sitting there, all of that taking in, like I'll play certain video games and I'll be playing and think, is it raining outside? And it's like, no, it's in the game, but it sounds that accurate. So I will say, if you don't have a decent, if you don't have, I wouldn't say decent, I'd say well calibrated surround sound, then headphones are definitely the way to play this and a lot of other games. I just want to throw that in there. But we also got some news on Overwatch.
We did. Overwatch has been having a World Cup since 2016 was the first year that they did that.
Yeah.
And so they've gone ahead and said, yeah, we're going to keep on doing this. So this is not surprising news, but World Cup 2018 is pretty fantastic, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that Kat will have more. Hopefully, we'll have some stuff to report on that from our Bad Moon and Moon Moon pair to talk about more Overwatch, because they know more Overwatch than we do.
They do. It's true.
Yeah.
Most people who have played Overwatch several times do, I feel.
I mean,
But,
I know about Overwatch. I played Overwatch. I play it every now and then, but the nuance of it, I don't understand. I mean, it's like if I'm trying to explain to you certain plays in Magic the Gathering, you're going to be like, I don't
Be
understand
like,
why
yeah,
this is.
Patrick, that
like-
sounds clever.
If I talk about efficiency and board card advantage, board advantage,
Yeah.
and why a specific play is more efficient versus another play, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, but I could have played this other card.
Yeah. I nod sagely, and that's why
that's what happens when I listen to people playing Overwatch, because they're like, oh, it's because you're supposed to do this, and I'm like, I wanted to run over here.
yeah. I can climb walls. Watch me climb this wall. Isn't that cool?
This is going to be real fun. No, you're going to die if you do that. Oh.
Yeah.
And then I die.
Which is why we don't play at that level.
That's exactly why we don't play at that level. On to some other random news that we didn't expect. Universal's doing a game jam, which I think is really fantastic, really great. It is going until April... Sorry, I just wrote it down. April 9th, I believe. Mm-hmm. April 9th. They basically said, hey, if you want to make a game, this is a game jam, so it's basically anybody makes a game, submits it to them. Back to the Future, TWIOCH, Battlestar Galactica, Voltron, Jaws. You want to make any game in any of those intellectual properties, go for it and send it to them. I will say that if you read what they're doing here, because it's a little misleading, they're not saying anyone can make a game and publish it. They're saying you can make a game and send it to us, and that is okay. And which I think is really great, because from this they may find, there may be some ideas they didn't think about. This could be a way to get some game developers notoriety if they have had an idea about how to do a Voltron game, and and we're like, well, I could never do that. Universal says, hey, you got 18 days, go for it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate. I mean, the idea of just throwing out big IPs and being like, what can you do with this? Yeah. The creative community is consistently astounding in the way that they're able to take something that we've seen in dozens of iterations, and I cannot imagine trying to filter through all the games that they're going to be receiving. But which one? Oh, okay, of these properties, which one would you like to see most?
Okay. While I think TWIOCH is fun, I think there's a lot of things that I think that could be very trite. Back to the Future, we've seen, I think Telltale relatively nailed Back to the Future. Jaws, I'm sorry, I think Jaws would be boring. Battlestar Galactica could be good, but it's going to have to be like to fully do Battlestar Galactica. It's going to have to be very very intense, very involving, and that's why my vote would go to Voltron. I think Voltron is one that, for a game jam situation, Voltron would be the one that I would tackle, because I think it's one that you could easily convey the idea of, because with Battlestar Galactica, you're going to have to do a lot of political intrigue and mystery in addition to sci-fi. So...
See, that's the part that intrigues me. Voltron, I like the idea of, because I played the Zone of the Enders games, and those were so much fun. And I have not seen a proper full-size mech game, honestly, since then.
Yeah.
But that one, Battlestar Galactica, would be mine, because I want to play a game where I'm wondering who's a Cylon. That sounds like so much fun. I would want it to be like a JRPG style game. Where's Empire? Robert Boyd, the guys who made Cosmic Star Heroine,
Yeah.
I would love to see his take on Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I think that would be a whole lot of fun.
That could be fun. I was thinking specifically from a game jam perspective, but no, that would be really cool. JRPG or even like a visual novel would be really cool for that, because it would really lend itself well to that type of environment. And speaking of things that will lend itself very well to an environment, we're getting Lego Incredibles.
We are indeed, and it's going to cover Incredibles 1 and 2, and it's going to cover them all in Lego. It makes me so happy because, yes, I really enjoyed the Lego games, and what they've managed to build with this franchise. Like, there's so much potential here.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Incredibles 2 is a movie that I've been excited about for a handful of reasons. I think that the first one did an excellent job of deconstructing the superhero genre, but I think that I don't know, it'd just be really interesting to see how they do a sequel. I mean, there's so much that they there's so many things they could do with it.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm kind of worried because this first one was so good and so succinct, and they didn't plan on doing a sequel.
Yeah.
So that I'm kind of worried about. I'm glad that Sarah Vowell's still playing Violet in this, because she's awesome.
Yes, she is.
And if you didn't know, she's an amazing author, amazing historian author, and she's been on NPR a bunch. And they, if I'm not mistaken, Ratzenberg, or not Ratzenberg, who was it? John Lasseter from Pixar heard her on NPR, is how he like heard her voice and was like,
really?
Yeah, I want her to, yeah, because that's her voice. Like, it's kind of like Lisa on The Simpsons, like that's her voice.
Right.
So it's just perfect. It works really well for
anything.
Yeah, exactly. But it works. It's like, if you find that specific niche, then you just keep doing it.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that she hasn't decided to do a bunch of other voice acting. She's like, I'm busy writing books. And now she's back to do Incredibles too. So it's really cool about that. Happy about that. And but something to not be happy about, if you like your Nintendo Switch, is using third-party docks and bricking them. Now, basically what happened here is there was a rollout for 5.0 for the Nintendo Switch, and certain docks, namely the Nyko third-party dock, as well as others were reported, saying they either removed save files. Some people were saying that they removed all their like Zelda and other save files, but the big one was bricking the systems.
Completely, yeah.
Completely. Nintendo is fixing any of those under their warranty. They're either fixing them or replacing them. I can't remember the full extent of that. But they put out a statement that said that they don't support third-party docks. Correct, but they said they're fixing it. They said they will fix your Switch, but they don't support third-party docks. What they actually said in their release was, we don't test third-party stuff. When we do stuff in here, we test the Switch, we test the games, we test how this works and that works, and we don't test Nikon docks and all these other things. I will say that while it is complete standard practice for a company to do that, I know that Cisco does that. I know that Microsoft does that when it comes to their software. A lot of the big companies don't test. They're like, I don't have to test integration for everything. Personally, I think that it was a bad move for them. It was Nikon, I believe, said it has something to do with the way that the AV signal is sent out through the dock. But to me, I don't understand what they changed. The only thing I can think of was that they were trying to come up with some type of way of encrypting or changing the way that the audio-visual was sent out to stop piracy. It's the only thing I could think of. And if you're making changes to that effect, at that point you need to be bringing in third party to make sure you don't brick something. They said it's just for stability. I have a feeling that whatever the changes that they made, which hopefully we'll have someone who digs through the patch and figures it out, because I think that they made a mistake thinking it wouldn't affect anyone, and it did. And I think they were trying to sneak something in that basically was supposed to be protecting them as a company. But it's unfortunate. I would say it's also unfortunate for Nikon because Nikon. The difference when you're paying for a discount piece of hardware. That discount piece of hardware should be discount because it doesn't have the name brand, but it should do basically what the regular hardware does. And the fact that if your hardware, because I'm not saying that I'm not saying Nikon's blame. I'm saying if your hardware, your third-party hardware is to the effect that it will brick something, that's a problem. And we've had fan systems that have done that with PlayStation, with the Xbox. That will brick it. It's like, okay, if you put out a product that could potentially brick, it's a chicken or the egg thing when it comes to the update. The thing is, my question is, how is it that it's only affecting these third-party docks and not Nintendo's dock? And should you put out a third-party product that is so inferior that it has a chance of doing something like this when all it should be doing is a passive HDMI through? That's really all it should be doing.
Okay, so we don't have all of the technical details on this. However, one of the other rumors that's going around besides the HDMI thing is that the actual output of the USB-C is not standard, and so the voltage being changed. Like we're all just kind of theorizing here because Nintendo is notoriously. I do have to shout out Alex Wooten in the comments said Turok is a safe bet though. Jaws would be great if they made it like that indie version of Friday the 13th recently. I would play a Jaws game where I got to be the shark and come after swimmers. I would play that game. But thanks for being in the chat and checking that out.
I mean, I guess you could do that for a game jam because it wouldn't. Like, all you have to do is shark swimming around and animated bodies and jumping.
Yeah, sure, why not?
But onto some other news. PlayStation VR is getting a price drop. Permanent price drop to the price that I bought mine at. Well, at least if you don't have a camera, it's going to be now $299 with this is a price drop for the bundle with the camera. I haven't seen any news. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see one that was not a bundle. The price drop was for this bundle. There's also a price drop for the Skyrim bundle. But there's no price drop for just the standalone. So if you already have a PlayStation camera, there's not a drop for that unit. But also keep in mind this is the newer version of the PlayStation VR, so that's cool. It still doesn't include the Move controllers. Okay, so I got my PlayStation VR. I played it for a little while, and then I moved, and I haven't played it since I moved. I know there's fun stuff to do on it. I have some games that I want to play on it, but to me, for the most part, it doesn't have... Right now, there's not enough on there to keep me wanting to play. The Batman VR game, I've watched some people play. It's really cool. I played Headmaster, where you play a goalie, or sorry, not a goalie, you play a soccer forward who hits, and you head the ball into the goal. And I played that for a little while. I played that through the tutorial of the demo, and I was like, yep, I got that game. That's it. That's all I needed.
You're like, yes, I get it.
And there's some other ones that are really cool, but to me, I feel like there needs to be a huge push and a bunch of momentum for VR to hit, and it hasn't hit yet. I'm still waiting for one of the VR to like take off and be like, no, this is where everyone should be doing VR. It hasn't happened, and I think it's because there's not enough momentum anywhere in VR, which is sad because I want Ready Player One to happen in one way or another.
We'll get there.
Yeah, which, by the way, the movie is great. Highly recommended to anyone who has ever played a video game. Ever.
There you go. So there's that recommendation. Speaking of things that are recommended, No Man's Sky was recommended by a lot of people before it launched, and far fewer people after that.
This is true.
So No Man's Sky Next is an expansion and coming to Xbox. That's another PlayStation exclusive that's coming to Xbox. And I apologize because I jumped one ahead. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No,
but yeah.
I'm hopeful. I'm curious to an extent, but at the same time, I just don't. It's like you fool me once, shame on you, and you just keep dropping the ball.
Fool me twice. You can't fool me twice.
Yeah, no. What was the Bush quote? It was, "You fool me, but you ain't getting fooled again." I think this is his quote.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I'm hopeful that there's something here, and I'm saying that because I mean, it had so much potential, and they oversold it like the way Molyneux normally sells his games, and then they just kept on and saying, nope, it's gonna have more. But every time they've come out with more, it's been like incrementally closer to what people wanted. Maybe it's now going to be what people... this summer is when the expansion comes out. Maybe it's then going to be what people wanted it to be at launch. At the same time, there's other Twin Universes and some other games that are going to be coming out, which are, from what I've seen, vastly superior. So is it too little too late? I don't know.
Well, but Xbox players will be able to play it for the first time, and that's kind of the main thing for me that's exciting.
Yeah. That's true, and I completely forgot that it had anything to do with exclusivity until you mentioned it. I just thought it was everywhere, but it was PlayStation only. It's now on Xbox, which is good because not enough people played it on PlayStation, and the people who played it didn't like it. So maybe the Xbox owners will get what we should have gotten on launch for it.
Yeah, and they're getting all the expansions and all these different versions, and they're getting the superior version of the game that's a lot closer to what was originally promised. Yeah. And so I'm excited to see where that universe goes.
Yeah. And another thing that people are getting is rocket launchers. So,
yay, rocket launchers.
And they're guided missile launchers too.
This is one of my favorite teaser episode things. Like this is Fortnite bringing in guided missiles, and I think that will be an excellent thing. Honestly, it's so much fun. Watching the dancing and things like that. Yeah. It's a goofy game, and it kind of makes me want to play it. But then I'm like, oh yeah. I die so fast. I don't even have a chance to dance. Actually,
from when I play it, and I mean, if you play squads, then you get actually paired up with people either randomly. Play squads or duos, then you have someone at least helping you on a little bit. Mm-hmm. I've not won. I've gotten up to what was it, like the third or fourth place in duos.
Nice.
But I got better, but at the same time, these people are way better than me. They spend way much more time on this. But I will say Fortnite, in my opinion, is considerably more fun for an entry-level player than PUBG. They can fight me on that all they want. Because PUBG, in my opinion, graphically is better. It's more nuanced. It has so many more things going for it in that scenario, but Fortnite is just crazy over the top fun, and this fits it. For Easter, they have an Easter egg launcher, which is a one-hit kill. It's really rare, but if you get it, it's a one-shot kill. And I'm like, that's really cool to do for an Easter event. To do something random like that. Easter egg launcher, why not? This guided missile launcher is another cool thing because Fortnite is so over the top and crazy that having something like this while people are doing their dances, it fits. Yeah. That fits the universe. Similarly to the Overwatch universe, when you have something ridiculous happening, it's like, oh, that makes sense. And if you had something like that in Diablo, people would cry about immersion because it doesn't work. Yeah. It works with Fortnite. It doesn't work with PUBG. If this was in PUBG, then people would complain that it's not balanced.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion on it. We got some stuff on Dragon Quest, though.
I was wondering how you were going to seg out of that.
I'm not.
Dragon Quest XI is coming to PS4 and Steam on September 4th, and it's coming west, which makes me extremely excited.
Yeah. Another one of those series, along with the Ys series, that I've never gotten into, and I've heard it's great. I'm glad that it's coming here. Either way, whether I'm a fan of a series or not, when I see that they're bringing something over to the West, especially if they're bringing it over around launch or at launch, it makes me really happy because there are fans of these games that it may not be for me, but to me, we're in a global society now. People can say what they want about what that means and whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we are so tapped in globally now that to me, it doesn't make any sense when you have these games. You could easily send it out to every single region immediately. I mean, you have animes that are being, that air in Japan that people will copy, put subtitles on, and then a day or two later you can download a fan subtitled anime. There's no reason why they couldn't have done that and just aired it here. So same thing with the games.
Speaking of subs though, the westernized version of Dragon Quest XI is actually going to have full voice acting.
Okay.
Which the original did not, which is kind of fun and exciting. So yeah, that's coming west, and Dragon Quest is one that I try to pick up whenever it comes through because I love killing me some slimes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I thought you were going to segue differently in that when you're talking about subs, but let's talk about Blood Dragon because I loved Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon, wonderful.
This is going to be one of two games right back to back. We're to talk about that Kevin and I could gush about how much we love. Blood Dragon is probably one of my favorite games to have come out, and not being and for it to be a spin-off, I think was amazing. So the director for Blood Dragon, sorry, I'm trying to, my notes are being slow here. Dean Evans, the director for Blood Dragon, has essentially his project was canceled through Ubisoft. He's going through a divorce. And he basically, through a lot in an interview, basically said, I am burned out and I'm a 40-year-old making games for 40-year-olds. Maybe I need to change up what I do and not be in AAA, which I think is, I got to hand it to this guy. He's been in the industry for 20 years, 12 years at Ubisoft. And he basically said, you know what, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. This is a transition in my life. He's turned 40. He's like, it's a milestone. And I need to figure out what the heck I want to do because I'm not happy right now. And that's a hard thing for anyone to go through. If any of you have ever gone through a time in your life like that, where you're having to be very introspective and say, okay, what am I doing? Why is this not working? And how do I fix it? And he basically said, he was talking about, do I move out of the country? I mean, what should I do? But he did say he's considering opening up his own studio, which I think is great. I mean, for him to not try to take his knowledge and just throw it away. Or try to change his industry. He's obviously loves the industry. He loves video games. He does not like what has happened to the industry. Like a lot of us haven't liked what's happened with AAA games. And he basically said, if I went to another AAA company, I'd be a hypocrite if I went there and did exactly what everyone else is doing because it's not what he wants. So I commend the guy for making the change and standing up, basically, saying, this is the right time for me to hang it up here and go do what I want to do, what's best for me. So, and I'm
really looking forward to seeing what he does because Blood Dragon was something that nobody saw coming.
No,
and it was something that I didn't know I wanted until I started playing it, and then was like, oh my holy hell, yes.
Oh, as soon as it was described to me, I'm like, this is everything. Because I love that cheese. I mean, the Escape from New York, the Running Man, Universal Soldier, any of those like ridiculous, over-the-top, futuristic things. It's great. So I was all about it. And along the same lines, because it's another game that we absolutely loved, Red Faction Guerrilla Warfare is in the news, getting a remaster. Which this is one that every time people talk about Red Faction, this is the one that I will talk about. This is the one that I'll reference.
Yeah.
If you guys watch the show or listen to us, you know every time they talk about Red Faction, I say it wasn't as good as Guerrilla Warfare. Because we're talking, it's open world. I mean, it's basically GTA on Mars. You can blow up any of the buildings.
With a sledgehammer.
With a sledgehammer, because in GTA you can't blow up buildings. And I don't mean to segue that into anything very morbid. What I mean is, to dance around that subject, what I mean is, like, the environments are fully destructible, and in this you are rebelling against a corporation, and that is basically enslaving, for lack of an easy terminology for it. The populace there, not treating them well, and doing horrible things, and this is rising up against them, and doing that by taking out their buildings, their facilities, and their supplies, and that's how they do this within their means, which I'm not going to condone terrorism, but you can see how they're trying to do what's right with the tools that they have.
We do condone terrorism on Mars against evil corporations.
Sure. The same way that I condone what the American colonialists did to the Brits. Which for the Brits, they were like, these guys are. They didn't really use the word terrorist, but they're blowing up our ships, and they're sabotaging us, and it's like, well, which side of history are you on? And I want to be on the side that's not hurting people. So I want to be on the side that's not hurting innocent civilians.
So there you go. So that's coming out on I believe it's on the 12th. It's going to be out within the next couple of months, and I will absolutely play through this again, because
on the 12th I will buy it. I'm going to play through it. I don't even care. That it's so good. I've got too many games. I'm playing Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is wonderful. People are not liking it because it is repetitive. But I will say that I've said this on the show, and I said it to you, Kevin. Sea of Thieves is about you playing and you making your story within their framework. It's not, they have these missions. Yes, there's going to be more added to it, but I will say I've played about 10 hours of the game, 10 or 12 hours. An hour and a half of which was with our buddy Owen and his friends. He has friends that he meets up with regularly and plays with, and that was the most fun I've had playing games online probably in 4 or 5 years. I had, not only did I have competent people, it was funny. I mean, we had interesting things that happened because of our interaction and because of our interaction with other people there. We sunk some ships. It was fun. And then I got that in Far Cry. And Far Cry, have you played Far Cry?
Yes. Yes, I have, and it's wonderful and marvelous. Yeah,
the intro is great. You can find our playthrough on YouTube if you haven't already. But Far Cry is fun. We talked about PUBG earlier, and I didn't segue into this. I don't know why I didn't. But PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, is getting a new map. So good for them to get another map.
They're going to be testing the tropical map from Monday till Thursday of this coming week. And it's a map that's half the size of the regular map, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean the regular map is pretty vast. So when we say that it's half the size, it's not necessarily that bad of a thing. Like I said earlier, I don't think that Fortnite is necessarily the better game. I think it's easier for people to jump into. But let's be honest. Fortnite is basically PUBG. It's just cartoony PUBG,
that's okay.
And that's okay because they said the same thing about every game that came out after Wolfenstein and Dune.
Right, Doom clones.
They said it's a Doom clone. This is just a Doom clone. What kind of Doom clone is this? No, it's a first-person shooter. I have my own feelings about PUBG. I haven't played it in a while. I need to give it more of a chance I will say, I'll get off my soapbox, but I will say that this and Fortnite's mobile versions are stupid. I think they were just trying to do it because they know mobile gaming is a thing, but they're so watered down. It's not the same thing. I'm not trying to be elitist here, but I feel like the only reason they put it on there was to find a way to make money there, and that was it. That was it. And anytime you're just motivated for money within art, you're a sellout. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, video games are art. It makes money, but you should be making a good project. It should be well-rounded. It is art. And when you're doing it just for cash grabs, then you have things like Candy Crush and others they're just there to make money. And I didn't get addicted to Candy Crush. But let's talk about making money.
Speaking of making money.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike Go introduced a 7-day wait to trade items, which a lot of the people who are really invested in that particular ecosystem are saying that, this is going to break the system and it's going to crush everything. And I can understand how you might think that. This was never really the way that the game was designed to be played, and so the emphasis on this game, and the way that they have turned this into something else. Yeah. Again, a way that the game was never meant to be played. And yes, I strongly encourage people to find the way that you want to play the game.
Sure.
And experiment with that and everything. But at the same time, this is a system where people are making money off of the games this just isn't how it was meant to be. And so for me, I don't really have a problem with this dropping.
I don't have a problem with it, especially if you look at what they're doing. Is they're saying if you get the item, then you can't trade it or sell it for the next 7 days.
Right. And they're saying that, this is going to kill people who want to, capitalize on minor market fluctuations. And it's like, okay, I don't know. Let us know in the chat if you have an issue with that or how you think the game should be run.
Yeah, should video games follow Wall Street and have day traders that make money off of slight fluctuations in the market to manipulate common folk? Because that's basically what we're dealing with here. Let us know in the comments what you think about that, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.